said, when it rains, it pours.
Yeah.
But this idea of like, I can't control these things. I can only show you who I am, and I can only show up, be the best person that I can be, and then however the cards, however the cards fall, they
And welcome to another episode of Keeping It a Bean. Keeping It a Bean is a podcast that brings together commentary and culture all over a cup of coffee, but in tonight's case, tea. If you are new to this here podcast, welcome to the show. My name is Marquise Davon, this American Negro. Please don't ever call me Mark a day in your life, because I don't look like nobody's Mark. Thank you. However, if you are returning hello to niggas and niggas only, you already know what the vibes are. I appreciate you coming back. If you're looking at these two faces here, that means you are watching this on YouTube. So please make sure to hit that like and subscribe button and that notification bell. That way you can be updated every single time I drop a video, and some exclusive content will be coming straight to YouTube as well. So I'm super excited for you to get a little bit more of a cultural analysis and some more bite-sized episodes, which is going to be super exciting. However, if I am your Monday morning drive or whatever you decide to listen to this here podcast, make sure to hit a rate and review, whether you're listening on Apple Podcasts or Spotify. As you hit that rate and review, that helps me show up on different playlists, and the algorithm will promote my podcast more often. So that's the best way to support podcasters at the end of the day. My audio listeners, y'all are some of the best out here, so I appreciate y'all for every single listen that you give me. I value y'all so much. But if you want to support me monetarily, you can do so in a couple of ways. So the first way is by buying Leroy's Blend. Please, it is a Black-owned luxury coffee. Please get into it. Lots of wonderful flavors if you're interested in just trying to test out something that's not Dunkin' or, well, we don't support Starbucks really, but we out here. Cool. Or you can also do so by supporting a couple of events that I will be having as well. So make sure to head to Spill the Beans, which will be happening on Sunday, June 29th. We will be having a conversation on social entrepreneurship and its commitment to community. So I'm excited. We have Kamal Morrell coming up to support us. We also have Deborah coming and a couple other folks that I'm excited to do the workshop and also host the conversation. So those are monetary ways to be able to support me. Also, I'm going to give a huge shout out for DJ Nash for hosting the International Bounce, which is a Juneteenth festival out here in Philly as well. Thank you for having me on your podcast stage. It was so dope. And thank you to everybody that was also a part of the panel, the Bull Bay, Matthew Law, and also Top Ramen Noodles. I'm so excited. Don't worry about it. That's his name on the John. Just, you're thinking too much. It's okay, Daniel. Y'all see Daniel off camera. But thank you for having me onto your platform. That was my first podcast stage that I booked for a festival, and so I'm super, super grateful for that as well. Other than that, at the end of this month, not only do we have Spill the Beans, but I will also be part of a panel called Single-ish, which will be talking about dating and relationships and what it means to date in your 30s and 40s. So that should be a good conversation. I'm nervous. I'm not going to lie. I'm ready for all the problematic takes. Because y'all know I don't do no relationship and dating advice. That's not my world. But I was like, this is a little fun. It's a little different. A little pizzazz. You feel me? So it should be a good time. Other than that, I appreciate y'all. Thank you for rocking with me all throughout this stuff. And we're going to get to the show. Thank you. That's all the vamping I do.
I was sitting there. I was like, wow, you know this whole thing by heart.
I've been podcasting for 8 years. I better know how to do this stuff.
You right.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Veteran. I was doing it before it was popular and the government dropped podcast mics into the Black community like they did Zeus Network and Crack. Talk about it. Thank you. Mm-hmm. However, if you are on YouTube, that means you've already seen this lovely face. These two lovely faces here on camera. I get to welcome a former coworker, now friend, a very close friend, probably one of my most intentional friends that I have, but also somebody I admire because she has mastered the art of the pivot, right? And I am so excited just because she tries so many different things. She's super intentional with her friendships, but also one of the most calculated Capricorns I've ever met in my life. Capricorn Stellium.
We are the best. Period.
You said that was the end of the sentence?
That was the end of the
Don't
sentence.
put a question mark where God put a period?
Exactly. Exactly.
I like how we got
Don't
there.
question it.
Still second chaotic Earth sign. Virgos is really where it's at, but we don't have to talk about that here. Anyway, so welcome to Keeping It a Bean, friend. How are you?
I'm wonderful. How are you?
I'm actually very good.
Yeah?
Yeah. I'm in a really good space. I'm in a space of gratitude. Got to celebrate another 30th birthday with my homies up in New York. So that was awesome. Shout out to Malika in the living room. But then also training with my staff, honestly, has been a lot more fun this year. I'm not as stressed as I was last year. And so just like having a big moment of like, oh, things are going to work out. And I have a team of very capable human beings that I have the privilege of leading. So I'm honestly in a really good space. So I can't complain too much.
Honestly, that's magical. But like that should just be your everyday motto. Things just work out. Period. Like there's no ifs, ands, or buts.
Get into it.
It just works out.
Yes, it will.
It will.
Thank you.
Yes.
How you doing?
I'm amazing. I'm coming off of a second national title win.
Yes, you did. Yeah. Come on, clap it up. Yes. Come on, second national title.
National.
We'll get into that.
Right. Work is going so well. I'm back in grad school. Mm-hmm. Life just feels like I'm winning.
Yeah, and you are. And it shows. You're glowing right now.
Oh my gosh.
So nice. Yeah.
So here's the thing.
Period.
You said this to me right after I left teaching. You were like, friend, I've never seen you smile so much. And I was like, oh, thank you. This is such a compliment. But to hear you say it again,
yes,
I must be doing something.
Yo, you're doing a lot of things right.
Thank you.
And we're going to get into a little bit more into this episode. But before we get to there, this is the signature segment for the podcast. This is the Keeping It a Bean segment. This is where you keep it 100. This is where you give your most authentic hot take, whatever that thing is that is on your chest. It could be personal, political, pop culture, something where you're like, I feel 10 toes down on this opinion. Okay. So what you gonna keep it a bean about today?
If I can keep it a bean, matcha should be removed from every menu. Every last one. Never to be seen again.
Wow. That's a choice.
Goodbye.
That's actually insane. You what? Matcha's great.
What?
You think it tastes like grass?
It tastes like dirt. Not even grass. Dirt. Like.
So you're not a matcha nigga?
No.
Oh my god.
And people keep trying to make me one, and they're like, we mix this into it, and then
that. Have you did like a lavender honey matcha?
Someone just made me a Brazilian lemonade matcha. It actually, for a split second, it tastes pretty good. And then I kept drinking it, and it was over.
So obviously we don't agree on this one.
We don't. But I still love you.
I love you too. Just a little questionable. That was different. Like, you said what?
No, because you never had matcha before.
You never had matcha? There's going to be matcha at the next live show, so come grab some. Yes. Daje.
Yes.
We got to let people choose for themselves.
Sure.
It does not taste like grass.
Yes, it does.
You gotta.
Yes, it does. The fact that everyone tells me you have to add something to it for it to taste good, that's a problem.
No.
We shouldn't be eating it.
You gotta have Vietnamese matcha. You just don't have good matcha.
You added something to it. So
Vietnamese is not added.
Oh, it's not. Wait, is it not? Is it just matcha? Was it like farmed in Vietnam?
Oh, they just prepare it differently.
What makes it different?
You gotta get into it. It's a little sweeter.
What makes it sweet?
Because Vietnamese coffee and preparation is a little bit more like a milky base to it than it does just like a straight like matcha. I will get you some sweet matcha.
Okay. There's a lot of things that
It's okay.
I opt out of.
It's fine.
But for you,
if you get the sweet matcha with a strawberry cold foam, it's like crack.
That you added things to.
The strawberry cold foam goes on top of it, not in it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. If you give me a small, I'll try it.
A small.
A small.
That's fine.
Tiny.
I will. You don't even pay for it. I will pay for it. So this way you don't even have to be like, oh, I don't want this.
Okay.
Yeah. I got it. And then if you don't want it, more for me. Thanks. Crying. Ooh. If I'ma keep it a bean.
Mm-hmm.
What is a hot take that I have this week? Oh my God, I might be a little Did I have a hot take this week?
Are you like fine in the world? Is everything good right now in your life?
I don't. Give me a little razzle dazzle.
Might be your age. I'm not gonna lie.
What?
Whoa.
Y'all, that's actually crazy. Y'all, I'm not gonna lie. If I'm gonna keep it a bean,
Yo, Marquis, chill.
no, it's fine. I'm not gonna say nothing crazy. I'm not gonna say anything crazy.
He doesn't know.
He doesn't
He
know.
doesn't know.
I ain't gonna
doesn't
say. I'm not
know.
gonna say nothing crazy. Okay, she put that hood up. However,
Said it, Mikey.
however, all right. And you still have the nerve to walk around like that. We're not gonna do this to me. But if I'm gonna keep it a bean, y'all, I got my first gray hair, and it's kind of crazy, and it's the longest hair on my face,
It's
and I don't know how to feel
prominent.
about it. We said what?
It's very prominent.
Why would you double down? Daje, I need emotional support, and you out here. That's what's wrong with you.
Because the problem is every time I look this way, it's just right there. And I'm like, oh,
not my good side.
I forgot. And then it reminds me.
Dang, that's really crazy, y'all.
It's beautiful.
Oh my gosh.
It's not that bad.
What?
The right hair is really not that bad.
I think you need more than one for it to not be that bad. It's a little awkward when you just have one. I'm just saying.
Just keep going.
Just let them
Just keep
grow
going.
in.
Anyways, if I'm a truly keep it a bean, I think everybody might need to take a class on how to make adult friends.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm realizing more and more when they see like me and you hang out, like even when we were all together, when they see me in the living room hang out, a lot of folks really consistently express like, you really have friends. And it's like a surprise to folks. And it kind of like bugs me out a little bit because I also recognize like more and more I'm recognizing the privilege, and not privilege, but more so like how lucky I am to have like a group of adult friends that actually like each other and actually want to hang out. And it's not because we only hang out because we can afford to do the same things. We hang out because we genuinely enjoy each other's company. But I realize that's not something that everybody can do or has. And so, excuse me, I'm always reminded, like, that part of the gratitude that I was talking around earlier is like, dang, yo, I really enjoy being around my people. And I'm glad that we can continue to show up for like those big moments and those small moments of hanging out. And I'm like, sometimes I'm just like astounded, but I'm also sad by the amount of like adults, and more particularly like a lot of black men reach out to me and just like, bro, like, I would love to like have that kind of space, and I just don't know where to start. And so it's always like fascinating on amounts of like, particularly like black men who are engaging with my content, who are just like, thank you for showing me what this could look like. I just don't know how to start there. And that's been interesting. Yeah. How you feel about adult friends?
You just said it a lot on me, and it all resonated, and then I wanted to cry a little bit. And then I was like, I can do this. No, I agree with you. I think when I first moved to Philly, it was right before the pandemic, so it was hard to make friends.
Oh, you came in 2019?
I moved in 2019.
Same.
Summer of 2019.
Oh, so you're August 2019.
I was here June of 2019.
Oh, period.
Yes.
Look at us learning new
Wow.
things. Okay.
Crazy, because we live 10 minutes from each other.
We're gonna talk about that
We're gonna
part.
talk about that part.
Anyways.
But then the pandemic hit. Had zero friends, and I really looked at my situation, and I was like, how does an adult make friends? Like, do I just move to a building that throws events, which I did, and then I was lucky enough to have met you, and you were just this social butterfly. And so through like being intentional and being like, all right, I'm gonna put myself in this uncomfortable situation, which is Marquise has like 50 people that show up to his birthday party every year, and I don't know anybody. But I'm gonna come out of this, and I'm gonna have one person's Instagram, one person's number. I don't know how we're gonna talk, but I'm gonna figure it out. And It has grown since then. But I think a lot of it started with like finding a social butterfly that already has a network, and then just sliding yourself in there.
This is so fascinating because you have like even like you have such quality friends you keep around. Like when I went to your your birthday.
It was my birthday.
Yeah, and you had such a curated group of humans like that are there, and so many people. Do you feel like you're like we always say like some people have like anchor people versus anchor groups. And so you have a select group of anchor people, but you don't have like, here are the same 4 or 5 people that are going to hang out every single time.
Yes, and I do also have an anchor group.
Yeah.
But that anchor group, we're like a couple times a year type of group. My anchor people are just, because I don't ever want to be in the situation where I look up and I'm like, well, my anchor people are gone.
Yeah.
Or my anchor group is busy. They're on vacation, whatever the case is. And I want to hang out with someone, but I have no one to hang out with.
Yeah.
So I went with anchor people because then y'all aren't necessarily attached to each other. Y'all can get along, but if you're busy, I can go hang out with Javon. If Javon's busy, I can go hang out with Morgan and just keep kind of going from there.
Oh, I love that, because in my mind, whenever for me, I'm like, no, I didn't know like that was a thing for you prior. Because in my mind, I was like, when we first met each other at work, you were the first person to like be like, come hang out. Come get,
but I also liked
lunch.
your energy.
Oh, also true.
Yeah.
Oh, period.
Yeah. So I was like, he just seems like a great person to have, period. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
So, dang, we was really in the trenches together teaching. Oh, a time.
Yes.
We'll
get to that.
Yes, we will.
Yeah.
No, but thank you for like naming that, because that's something I didn't, because you're not a person that I immediately, I'm just like, oh yeah, like Daje like doesn't do well with making adult friends. I feel like every time you meet somebody, like even when you met Austin, like I was like, oh, immediately. She was like, friend, what's friend's Instagram? Boom, 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 boom. And she found it immediately. And I was like, yeah.
Person out in the lobby. I was having a great conversation with her. But that's the thing, I don't mind putting myself out there and having conversations with people, but then I'm like, all right, I'm just an easy person to get along with.
Yeah.
Do I like your company?
Right.
Because you like mine.
Okay, but it's not always the other way around.
But it's not always the other way
That's
around.
the problem I'll be running into. I might be some people's best friend, but I'm not their they're not my best friend.
Correct.
Yeah, it's a very interesting piece. Yeah.
But I think that happens when you just have such a welcoming energy that people are like, oh, well, I could get along with you because you seem easy to talk to. You seem like a great person to hang out with.
Yeah.
But it's like, but if you're like a Debbie Downer all the time, I don't want to be around you all the time, right?
That's something I was thinking about actually. It's just like, I think me and you actually were having this conversation of like, it's good to be around people that don't feel like they are stealing your energy.
Yes.
You're around people who like energize you a lot of the time and make you feel present, or honestly sometimes be real childish. Like, I'm already childish, y'all. But however, like when I'm with my friends, it'd be like, why would you say that?
or just someone that you can talk about nothing with.
Yeah.
Like half of my friends that I consider good friends I'm taking with my life, we talk about nothing. Why is the sky blue? I don't know. But let's talk about it. Right? Like those are the people that I really enjoy. The things don't have to be always heavy. Things don't always have to be like super ambitious. But when we need to be, we can pivot.
Right.
Yeah.
Ooh, and I like how she just said pivot, because we can pivot this conversation. No, but in reality, thank you for having that conversation. But speaking about pivots, you're somebody that you take chance on life that I really appreciate. And so every single time you have pivoted into something new, you fully dive into that thing. And I admire that so much, because some people are scared where they won't even try. But even for you, do you feel like you immediately, when you pivoted into new things, is there fear that is before that pivot, or you're just like, fuck it, we ball? Like, how do you kind of work your confidence up to that piece? Because not everybody can do that and do it well. Yeah.
I think that it depends on the thing, right? I decided to be a bartender on a whim, and it was a job, so I had to show up. That was an era. Whew, I had so much fun.
Yeah, I remember going to
the bar. Yeah. The pool bar. But that was just like one of those, I can apply for this job, which then means I now have to show up because I have scheduled hours. So it was like almost a forced into it. Like, you have to assimilate or you lose this job and you lose this opportunity. But then there are spaces like Judo where it was like, no, I'm paying to be there.
Yeah.
The first year, I paid them a lot of money and I was not there.
Yeah.
And then I just kind of switch flipped and I was like, no, I like this thing and I haven't enjoyed this thing that I was starting to build out. So let me just go. And then how can I sort of psych myself out into saying I can keep going? Yeah. So I started off with 2 days a week, then it was 3 days a week, then it was 4 days a week.
I remember because it just kept going and going.
It kept going up and now I'm there like 6 days a week.
Yeah, you are.
But it started so small and those were the easy wins to say, I showed up 2 days a week. You're not going to make me feel bad because I didn't show up a third day, because I was proud of myself because I showed up for my 2 days. Yeah. And then after I did that for a while, I was like, all right, what's my next milestone? 3 days.
Come on now.
Let's try and do it. And there were some weeks I was showing up 2 days. And then there were some weeks where I made it to 3. It just, for me, I think it's it's like a slow ramp up. Like, don't rip off the Band-Aid because you'll immediately fail and then you'll be sad and then you'll find a reason to quit.
Yeah.
Give yourself opportunities to succeed.
That's actually really cool. And do you think that's what helps sustain you? Because oftentimes, well, let's actually take it back. Those days where you were like, yeah, I'm hitting my 3 days a week, and then you did your 2 days a week. Did you have a moment where like you were super critical of yourself, or if you were, how did you learn to be able to develop that muscle to give yourself grace on those days?
I was very critical of myself. And then I think I had a conversation with one of my coaches about it, or maybe it was my therapist, I don't know, but they were like, fail faster. So if the issue is that you're not showing up 3 days a week, all right, well then don't show up the 3 days, show up 2 days. You failed. Oh no, what was the worst that happened? I didn't show up. Okay, so next week we just try again. It's a reset. And I think giving myself grace, or learning to give myself grace in this process, was what made it easier to show up and what made it easier for me to grow. But in those beginning days, I used to look at myself like, girl, you ain't gonna make it anywhere if you don't just show up this third day.
And okay, because your pivot into judo happened after you left teaching.
Oh, it was all at the same time.
It was all at the same time.
All at the same time.
And that's
yeah.
Okay. That intense, because I want to get back to judo, but I think it's good to like come back to talk around like how you got into it, because your life pivoted significantly, like
every year.
Back to back. Yeah,
it was really crazy.
And so I think there's like this moment in that transition where you're like, oh, I am doing something completely new, and I don't know where the fuck I'm gonna land.
Yes.
And so like, how did you work through that process? Because I don't think we talk about that enough. I remember when I like had to deal with a breakup, I had to move out of my apartment, I had to get a new job, and I had to deal with some of my dad's stuff, all within a span of 4 months. And I was like, the world is moving too fast, and I did not process because it was constantly moving to the next thing. So like, how was it for you? Because you also had made an active decision not to return to the classroom.
Exactly.
And then all these other things kind of fell in line for you too. So how did you what was that moment like when you said, I'm not coming back, and then got into dealing with the transition part in your pivot?
When I said that I wasn't coming back, that was like the biggest weight off my shoulders. I was like, oh, I can be a person again. And so the school year actually coasted. I actually ended up getting a job. And I took that job over the summertime, and I was like, it's going to be fine. Like, I'm going to be in marketing. That's my calling, right? Got into that space, and I went from working at an all-black school I hung out with mostly black coworkers, to going into an all-white space where we are supporting only white consumers. And I was like, culture shock. What do I do with this? And so I think that was also harsh. I ended up getting fired from that job. Really tragic, but I think it was a blessing because I actually didn't know what I wanted to do. Right. And so judo was the anchor. Like showing up to judo, because I was like, all right, well, I tried this thing. I really enjoyed this thing. If I show up, that's my constant right now. That's all I can do. I ended up going like 5 months without a job. And I was like, at first I felt bad, and I was like, oh, like I may have to call my mom and like get her to pay my rent. Like I don't know, right? But I think that was also a blessing, to say I can just sit still every day, journal, go to therapy, talk to someone, talk to a friend, go for walks by myself. I was going on hikes midday. I had no idea what I wanted to do with my life. Then my savings ran dry, and I was like, okay, you have to go back to work. Like there's no more waiting. And it ended up being someone in my network who was like, there's a coordinator position out in a school. You want to go? Sure. And then for a split second, I was like, I have to leave this job, because when I quit teaching, I'm supposed to go to bigger and better. But I didn't, right? Like I kind of laterally moved. And what was really huge for me is I actually gave myself 30 days to find a new job. And if I didn't find a new job once I was like in this new role, then I took it as, you know what, this is the universe telling me I need to sit my butt down and actually just come to myself and what I want and how I want to grow. And I ended up not getting a job. So I stayed there. And then that was like a month later, I entered my first tournament, lost. It was sad. I then learned, I think I like gotten a new therapist, and we like really connected, started working on my nutrition, started working on my fitness, went to my second tournament, won. By June, I was like, oh, I'm a new person. I've figured it out. I know who I am. And then my car was stolen, and then I had to move my apartment, and then I was interviewing for new jobs. It was a whole thing, right? But I think it took me being in a space where I was like, this job is easy. I can show up to work and not really put a lot of my brain into it. I can figure out what I want to do as my career. I can also deep dive into this hobby that I found, but I haven't explored what it means to me yet.
Oh, there was so much in there. Oh my God.
I feel like you need a notepad.
I do, but it's fine. It's all in here.
Okay.
Anyways.
Hit me.
Yeah, no, because I love what you were talking around, more particularly around, like, that forcing to be still. Because there was a point, like, I remember when I left teaching and was like, this is the first summer I decided not to work. And I was like, I was going stir. I was like, I don't know what to do with myself. But I also realized I just did not have a good relationship with stillness. So that was part of it. And then after, I was pretty good up until August, until I got my last check for the summer. And then I was like, well, this is going to only be able to sustain me for so long. So then I had to go into substitute teaching. And for me, I was just like, dog, like, I've never not had a job. And that was difficult because I kept, like, I got so many no's. I was sending out resume after resume, application after application. I was like, this is a lot of rejection. And I was just like, dog. And then it took this job 4 months to hire me. I had this job. Right.
Okay.
I knew
that's a whole quarter. Okay.
Right. And so I knew I got the position by mid-September. But then I was supposed to start working by October. Then they pushed the start date back, which meant I had to continue to substitute teach. And then that October is when my landlord said, yeah, y'all need to move out by Christmas, out of nowhere. And I said, nigga, this is 2 months. What am I supposed to do for this? And so I remember, because my savings was dried by October. I lied, October. And I remember sitting there, and I was I had to go apply for food stamps. And something about that moment triggered the fuck out of me. And I remember just sitting there, and there's this one dude over here cussing everybody out. And I sat there, I was just like, yo, I feel like I hit rock bottom. Like, I can't go home. I can't be a disappointment. I can't do this thing. And I remember and it took me so long because I did not want to tell my friends. But I sat there and I hit up the living room and said, y'all, I depleted all my savings. It was for 4 months. It lasted. I am broke and don't know how I'm about to pay my rent. When I tell you they all sent 150, 300, 400, don't pay me back, don't pay me back, don't pay me back. And nigga, when I tell you it took me an hour to hit send on that. And I sat there and I just remembered, like, dog, I was in such a bad place because it's the first time I felt like I didn't have control of my life. And I was like, oh, I need to figure out what the hell I'm doing, because I was like, I'm also entering a space that I'm not familiar with. I said, I don't know shit about higher ed. I've done college access stuff before, but it's not like that's not my thing. I was like, I know I'm good in the classroom. And so it was like such a hard thing. So like, as I'm hearing you talk, I'm just like, dog, like I remember that moment. But it was a moment that allowed me to realize I needed to give my friends permission on how to show up for me. And I didn't know how to do that because I didn't trust that, because I'm always like the rock friend. And so like when I had to be the one where I'm like, fuck, I need people.
I was going to say, like, what was because you said you waited an hour.
Yeah.
So what was the final thing you said to yourself that was like, all right, I can push send?
The worst thing they can say is no. That's all it was. And I had to sit there, and when I hit send, I was just like, fuck it. I threw my phone and was just like, whatever, cool. And then my friend, shout out to Sahara, was just like, Marquise, thank you for not suffering in silence. And I was like, fuck. And I remember just crying. I said, what the fuck? I can't tell people that I'm broke. Like, what's that seem like? Like, and I'm used to being the one who has it together. So like, for me not to have it together in that moment was like such a trying time. But it reminded me, or not reminded me, but it taught me that there is power in vulnerability of allowing friends to help you even when you don't think you need help. And like, people want that because I don't often give people the ability to show up for me in particular kind of ways. So I'm trying to get used to being like, Marquise, do you need help with this? I can do it, but no, it's fine. Just right.
But just do it.
But just do it. And so like, that's what that learning lesson was for me on the other side of that transition. But I feel so much like I came out on the other side, like so much more confident. I fell in love with podcasting, and like the hobby wasn't the hobby piece. I was like, oh, I might be depressed. I said, oh, my podcast isn't even making me happy anymore. Like, I'm doing it because it's the one thing I felt like I had control over, but it's not like it was inspiring me to want to be able to edit. It felt like a task. So for a couple of months, I was just like, I need to figure this out. And then I felt like December 14th is when it felt like a lot of things just shifted and everything just kind of made sense. And so I remember bringing in that new year and just like, I want to experience the most amount of joy for the simplicity of life. And I never want to get to that space again where I feel like I can't have control, but my relationship to control also changed because I'm like, I cannot control everything because all these things happened that were outside of my thing. It wasn't any failure on my part. It wasn't anything like that. It was just, that's where I was at. But it was like a very big moment in life where I had to be like, you're going to be okay. And like, I have such a strong community around me that I never have to experience like the worst parts of the world.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
You said, you talked about control, like relinquishing control. And I think that that was something that it resonates with me because that was something huge that I had to get over when I left teaching was, all right, girl. All right. Like, you gonna put your resume out there? We're going to see what happens. Okay. When my car was stolen, terrible time, but I had to relinquish control. Either you found my car or you didn't. Whatever happens, happens. Right? At the same time, I was also in 2 job interviews. I didn't know which job I was going to get. Yeah. I can just show and put my best foot forward. I don't know what's going to happen. I also was looking for an apartment because I had 60 days to move out of my apartment. Right? Like, this is, and mind you, this is all happening in like a 3-month span.
Yes. Oh,
crazy.
Everything wants to on top of each other.
Everything said when it rains, it pours.
Yeah.
But this idea of like, I can't control these things. I can only show you who I am, and I can only show up, be the best person that I can be, and then however the stacks, the cards, however the cards fall. We got there. We figured it out. Yeah. But however they fall, they fall. But I also want to praise you for allowing your friends to show up for you because we want to be there. But sometimes we don't know how we can be there. And so you opening that door was probably huge for someone to be like, oh, all right,
Miles,
it's my time.
Miles will tell you, he goes, nigga, I've known you for 10 years. You don't ever ask me for shit. He goes, so you asking for $400. He goes, I'm going to still talk shit and make fun of you. That's fine. I said, all right, say less, nigga, the fuck. Like,
send that cash out.
He sure did. $400.
Yeah.
He said, I don't want to see it back.
But that's a good friend.
Dog.
Right? And it's not even the monetary thing, right?
No.
Like a friend that will show up, put like a picture up because I can't reach the top of my ceiling, right? Those are good people that you're just, and they're like, I don't need anything for it. You want to hang out after? Okay, cool.
Yes. And
let's move on.
It makes you remember like your relationships are not transactional. People like you for you, and you are enough.
That's so hard. I so bad. I know. I guess I can take it.
All right, fine. Look at us processing trauma.
Yeah. Go team. We did it. No, wait, why did I go to the door in my head?
Wow, that was a great shot of the door. No, wow. That was a time.
Yeah.
Wow.
We made it. Get out of my head.
Oh, shout out to friendship, though. Oh man, but talk to me a little bit more too. Like, thank you for like that space because that was good. You brought up some stuff where I was like, fuck, I forgot that was an era. Yeah. Oh my god.
A time.
Yes.
2 years. Back to back, and it just kept flowing. Kept flowing.
Yeah, but then there's a time where like you enter the space by yourself, right? And I remember that point for me was last year when I got my apartment and I was living alone for the first time, and I hadn't realized the amount of time that I negotiated my own comfort and security for other people, and the idea that it was me being considerate, right? But it's also a time that I became actually my most audacious as well because I was like, oh, this is what I want. I make the rules. What? This is mine? But it also, during that time is like, fell in love with podcasting again. And I remember the month just before I got my apartment, I had to stay with Sterling. So I was staying in his guest room for a month. And I was like, all right, Marquise, we're going to do this. And I remember getting to my space and was just like, dog, I am proud of you. I had to tell myself that. And that was hard because I said, no, nigga, you got to move on to the next thing. Don't smell these roses. You got to order that bed. Make sure you get some furniture. Make sure you gotta, and they said, Marquise, it's slow. You don't have to get everything at one time.
Take time.
Right? And so in that moment, too, of understanding that it took time to like rebuild and invest in my passion again, because that's when even Keeping It a Bean ended up taking this new form. I had Kavan, I got to meet Jannell, and this has been the team to fucking beat the entire way through. Like, and they just are like, there was a level of investment that they had in this space. And I was just like, oh, this is beautiful to be able to share this space and like have a team that is willing to want to help and volunteer their time every Tuesday night. Like, what? You don't have to do this, but they chose to, right? And so I'm forever like grateful of that space. And so I think about what you talk around with Judo a lot more, of being able to have that space where you have your wins, and then you also have like those moments where you're like, bitch, I just went up against an Olympian, and I don't know how I feel about my confidence right now, but I went up against an Olympian.
Like, come on, give me my flowers.
And so how did Judo help you get out of that space of that struggle of tension, not a struggle of tension, of transition, and being able to like, is that your grounding thing for you? And yeah. Period. Thank you.
Sorry, repeat your question one more time.
Was Judo the piece that grounded you, and how has Judo influenced like how you move now?
Judo definitely grounded me, right? It was the first time in my life where, let me go back, when I first met my coach. It was my first day. They teach you how to fall before you have to run before you can walk or something like that, or walk before you can, whatever the saying is, whatever it is. So you have to learn how to fall before you can throw, right? They want to make sure that you can keep yourself safe. So I remember first day, this man is teaching me how to fall, and then he was like, "Oh, you're really good at this. You want to throw someone?" And I'm like, all right, I mean, I don't know what I signed up for, but sure, you want to do this? Cool. And I remember him teaching me the steps to throw someone. I'm like, all right, foot here, arm here, arm here. Girls goes, she's just going over my body. And I'm like, this is fun. I don't know if I'm doing this right, but I like flipping people. Like, let's go, right? And I remember my coach stopping me, and he was like, can I record you? And I was like, sure. Like, is this a promo video? I don't know. And he was like, no, I'm going to make you into a champion. And I said, what does that mean? Are you just trying to get me to sign on the dotted line? Right, because I already signed, right? And he was like, no, seriously. He was like, we're going to hold on to this video. Give me a couple years. I will turn you into a champion. And so to bring it forward, Judo has been a space where I have had to constantly grow. Right? Like, it's grounding because I show up, I'm not automatically good at the thing. Right. I am struggling over and over and over again. And I think what is so grounding about that space is that on the sidelines, my teammates are like, no, but you did so much better today than you did yesterday. Or when I fought the Olympian at Nationals, I was in that match like, this girl is dragging me around. I am trying my best. I hope I can give her a bit of a fight, a bit of a warm-up. I don't know. And one of my teammates was like, no, I watched it, and it kind of looked like you could have thrown her. And I said, you saw that? Okay. Thank you. I will take that, right? And so I think what is so amazing about Judo is, like, I show up and I try and I try and I try, but I can always get better. And even on the days when I don't feel like I'm doing well, there's still a community of people that will still toss me on my butt. But will tell me, but you're getting better. And I'm so proud of you.
Wow.
Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome.
I love that space.
That's such a cool space to be in.
Yeah. I got to take you there.
You said what?
You're coming to class.
You said you just want to throw me?
Sure.
Interesting.
I mean, those weren't my words, but if that's what you want to happen.
Don't do that, because I have texts that say, Marquise, let me throw you.
I don't recall having those messages.
Interesting. I would never see those on my screen. No, dog, like that is awesome, because I love being able to hear your journey a lot more. And even those moments where you're just like, I don't know if I love this as much. Right? Like, there are moments where you even talk around like, no, this thing is hard.
It's so... Yeah. It is hard. The first day I started working with my training partner, fabulous woman. Like, this lady has given me a gi. We were at national... Yeah. But no, she coached me when I was at national. She was like, I fought this girl. You can beat her. This is what we're going to do, right? Phenomenal person. first month that I knew her, I was like, I never want to see you a day in my life again.
Yeah.
And it wasn't her. It was 100% me. But what it was is I had never been in a space where someone who was in my weight division, who was my age and taller than me, was just body slamming me. This girl's flipped me 50 times a class. A class is like an hour. So that's a lot of times to just be body slammed by someone who's in your weight division and then get up. And for the record, I'm in the heaviest weight division. It is an open category. So you can be 180 pounds and heavier. Heaviest person is 300 pounds, right? So when that happens, it is humbling. And then I also had to learn, like, in those moments, I was actually the asshole. Because I used to, like, stomp around the mat. Like, I can't believe this girl would throw me this way. But she's doing it to make me better. But, like, I don't really like this, right? But it took me losing to her in an actual tournament. It took her still showing up and wanting to work with me. It took her actually being like, yo, you're actually getting better at this thing.
To move your ego a little bit.
Yeah, and that is so hard. It is so hard. But I'm grateful for those moments because they have made me a stronger person, not only in judo, but also within my life. Yeah.
That's fire.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for sharing your story. Yeah. It was so dope to have you.
Oh my God, thank you for having me. It's been, what, 2 years of me
years?
trying?
She yelling. Why you yelling? We're ending on a positive note. See, everyone, niggas is going to be so miserable. Like, what the fuck?
What the hell?
The Heliante? The Halloween? Like, what? No, Daje, thank you so much.
Absolutely.
Thank you, one, just for being such a great friend for me. But also just to everybody that you, like, that gets the privilege of fucking meeting you, to be honest. Like, I think the people that you keep around are some of the best people ever. And every single person, I don't hear a bad thing about you, girl.
Thank you.
I don't. And so all your friends who love you deeply love you. And I hope that people got to see that through this conversation that we had tonight. I said, there was a moment I said, oh, she's about to make me start boo-hooing on this damn.
No, because you almost made me
John.
cry.
But friend, you are officially a friend of the pod. You are also always welcome back. Honestly, there's some stuff we might just do some pop culture things. This would be like, let's get some fun hot takes type situation. So yes, there will be more times for you to be able to come back and just chat and have fun. Yes.
I mean, but I also would like to come back when I make it to the qualifying match.
Okay, let's get into it. Please make sure you are following Daje's journey in judo, because one thing about our good sis, we know we briefly mentioned it, but yeah, she's going up against Olympians. Stop playing with her.
You know, I'm trying.
Yes, you're doing. Not
thank
trying,
you.
You're doing.
I am doing. I show up every day.
Yes, you do.
Except for today. But don't tell my coach.
Friend, thank you so much for coming to the pod. Please let the people know where they can find you and follow your journey.
Yes, follow me on at DWalk Judo on Substack as well as Instagram. We're going to talk all things judo. I'm also trying to make it to the 2028 Olympic qualifying match for the 2028 Olympics. So come with me. It's going to be fun.
Yes.
And then I'll come back and we'll talk about that later.
We got champions on here, yo.
Yeah.
Stop playing. Because you got, what, 2 gold medals?
I have 2.
Stop playing.
2 national championships behind me. 2 titles. What?
Stop playing with
Don't
it.
play with me.
Stop playing with it.
I should put that on my resume.
You should.
Yeah.
Yeah. At the top, say stop playing with me, though.
Literally. But thank you for having me.
Yeah, thank you.
Yes.
Y'all, please make sure that you like and subscribe to this video. Hit that notification bell. Leave a rate and review if you're listening on any podcast platform. Daje is going to be a force to be fucking reckoned with. So, once again, this is another episode of Keeping It a Bean. I will see you next week. Peace.
Go team.
Go team.